In the aftermath of the first presidential debate and calls from some Democrats for President Biden to step aside, we've seen heightened focus on his potential replacement, Vice President Kamala Harris. Last night, the president himself highlighted her readiness for the job.
I wouldn't have picked her unless I thought she was qualified to be president. From the very beginning, I made no bones about that. She is qualified to be president. That's why I picked her.
That comes amid new polling finding Harris running as well, or in some cases better than Biden, in a head-to-head matchup with Donald Trump. In one of those surveys out this week, Harris leads Trump 49-46, while Biden is behind 46-47, although we should note that's all right around the margin of error. Donald Trump seems to believe that Harris could be a real threat. The New York Times reports his team is planning to go after her at the Republican convention next week, working more attacks into the speeches and messaging. Trump's conservative allies are also ramping up their attacks on the first female vice president, a woman of Indian and Jamaican descent. And the rhetoric is, well, it's gross and getting worse. It is also revealing their unified project. Beyond destroying Kamala Harris, the conservative movement increasingly is committed to purging women, minorities, particularly black folks, from positions of power in American life. And they've been hiding that real agenda to essentially resegregate the highest spaces of American life behind a campaign against DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. This was all kind of tipped off in a New York Post that recently ran, this opinion piece, by longtime Fox Business correspondent Charles Gasparino. America soon may be subjected to the country's first DEI president. Going on to complain about the sitting vice president, quote, maybe the most impressively fatuous politician in America, may become the leader of the free world because the Democratic Party is unable to break its DEI stranglehold. In front of the cameras, the obvious racism has been even worse.
Do these donors really think that Kamala Harris is going to do better in Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania than Joe Biden would? I mean, that's the because it can't be anybody else, right?
Hey, Rob, you're being logical. Stop it, all right? She's a DEI hire, right? She's a woman. She's colored, therefore she's got to be good.
They are in a box where they've got to choose between a mentally incompetent president and a DEI vice president.
If they can drag him across the finish line and install Kamala, we have a DEI presidency that they can celebrate for the rest of the administration.
Bottom line here is that it's going to go to Kamala, if anybody, because she was a DEI hire.
John, you shouldn't talk like that. It makes you sound like a racist. Don't talk like that.
But can I just say one thing about the first clip we played there is that one of the guests was a bald white dude who became Attorney General of the U.S. Because Donald Trump liked him, and his past involved selling toilets for largely endowed men, I think. That was his qualification. That guy, yeah. That's the guy who's the super qualified. That's a super qualified dude who became Attorney General, talking about the poor qualifications of Kamala Harris. Now, to be clear, the anti-DEI movement is the right-wing agenda. It is literally written into their blueprint for a second Trump term, Project 2025. Reading from it, they plan to, quote, reverse the DEI revolution, saying the next administration should eliminate every one of these wrongful and burdensome ideological projects. And this conservative crusade is coming for all sorts of spaces in American life. They've just sued a black hedge fund. They're coming for higher education. You could see it in action. So last week, a group led by notorious right-wing lawyer, former Texas Solicitor General Jonathan Mitchell, brought a lawsuit in federal court against Northwestern University Law School for discriminating against white men. The complaint calls faculty hiring at American universities a cesspool of corruption and lawlessness. It goes on to allege that left-wing faculty and administrators are openly discriminating on account of race and sex when appointing professors. Quote, they do this by hiring women and racial minorities with mediocre and undistinguished records over white men who have better credentials, better scholarship, and better teaching ability. And in the complaint, they just go after a number of scholars of color on the law school faculty, like by name, dragging them. Now, the fact is, Northwestern University Law School, one of the best law schools in the nation, hires highly distinguished and experienced women and minorities who've clerked for federal and even Supreme Court justice, authored hundreds of publications, won awards for their scholarship and their teaching. What the complaint is really saying is this: anyone who's not a white man is suspect by definition and indeed inferior by definition. What the complaint is saying, what this ideological project is saying is we want them out of these spaces. And they are already bringing the same racist logic to bear on the former California Attorney General and United States Senator who has served for 3 years as the Vice President of the United States. The most rabid campaigners against DEI who throw it around as a slur are devoted to a vision of America where there are no black women law professors and there are no black women vice presidents. And they're too cowardly to come out and say that in plain language, but do not for a second forget that is their project.
Hey there, MSNBC fans. I'm Luke Russert, and be sure to join me, Rachel Maddow, Jen Psaki, Lawrence O'Donnell, Steve Kornacki, Joy Reid, and many more September 7th in Brooklyn, MSNBC Live Democracy 2024. Click on the link for ticket information. We will see you there.